Patreon. So, and
That's
then I'll
good.
edit it. So if you don't like me, you could bounce out in 2 seconds, and I won't get offended. I'm from Brooklyn. I can handle it all.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
I think before we get how long do you have? I don't want to waste all your time. So,
No problem. Whatever you want.
all
I
right, just
usually wander around for a while. They don't
mhm.
shut me up, by the way, and I think it's kind of cool because then I get, they a lot of podcasters like me because I just, because once you get high, it's hard to shut up.
See, we'll talk all about that. I met you before I start the show. I think I have a little echo, but it's coming in from my thing. You have am I up the volume up on your end? I just don't want the feedback to be in the
I
audio.
don't know. It could be. I don't know anything about this.
No, okay.
I'm very uh,
You,
computer illiterate, and
I'm learning about it, but it's
I
okay.
I'm very proud of it. Except my little granddaughter, who is not
Yeah,
even 2 yet, she knows more about the phone than I do.
it's
she
crazy.
she borrows my phone. She can't even speak it. She's clicking and she
It's
knows how
crazy.
to work. Yeah.
That's my kid's the same. I have a 7-year-old. Now I met you a long time ago at a place on Sunset. You'll never remember. I was in a band with the drummer from the Stray Cats, the guy from Guns N' Roses, and I was playing bass. It was a place called the Cat Club. It was on Sunset Strip. It was
Really?
yeah, and I was the house band with Slim Jim from the Stray Cats. He was the stand-up drummer, and
Okay, I
I
remember that.
I played bass, and you were sitting right in front of me, and
Uh-huh.
I think it was them, and I also used to play with Dee Dee Ramone. But anyway, we both would play the same club, and you were sitting right in front of me, and
Oh, okay.
I wanted to talk to you, and I'm like, I don't want to kill it. I'll just leave the guy alone. So never
No,
said hello.
I know the feeling. The weirdest thing. Joe Pass, the guitar player. Well, I was a big fan of Joe Pass for a lot of reasons. Number
Yeah.
one, he learned most of his guitar in prison, you know, and so he was like serious. He done some serious time for drugs, of course, uh, and so he was playing with Jimmy Smith,
Uh-huh.
and of course I went and seen him. I'm a big fan of both Smith and Joe Pass. And Joe comes back. Now he comes backstage, or no, it comes out into the audience. This is at the Baked Potato, and he said he looked at me. He goes, "Who are you?" Like, who are you? And I said, "I'm an actor." And he gives me that. Oh, you're going to play it that way, are you? Okay. And he walked away, and I was I was he got me. He got me really good because because Joe Pass he's such a cool guy in every which way, but he had this hipness
Yeah.
that only that doing time a lot of time in big prisons will give you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to this day, he died, but to this day, I, I go over this scenario in my head thinking he knew who I was, and because I never said who I was, it was like I kind of dissed him, you know, like I treated him like a fan almost, Hey, don't worry about me, that kind of
Yeah,
attitude,
yeah, yeah.
and she'll call back. It's my
Okay.
daughter. But anyway, to this day, because it was probably the only time in my life. In fact, I know, I've met the biggest stars imaginable.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali, all those big guys. But Joe Pass, man, this day, it still haunts me that I should have said, "I'm Tommy Chong," and he would have said, "Oh yeah, well, hey, I'm a big fan or whatever." But instead, I went the other route. But it's okay.
I
It's okay.
have I have a Joe story very similar two of them, and one was at the Baked Potato because we would house band every Tuesday night, and Don
Yeah.
Randy, who
Yeah.
was part of the wrecking crew, that's his place.
Sure.
For anybody out there that's watching this, if this makes the cut, wrecking crew, huge, played on all the best of the best. But anyway, I was doing a sound check Tuesday afternoon, and it was with the drummer from Blondie, and it was I lost him. I lost him on my story. He'll come back on here, everybody. Don't worry. He's getting phone calls, so that's what's going on. Don't worry, Debbie Mola. There he comes.
Okay. And what happened?
My story was so great. I thought that was he bounced. And that's no. So check it out. So it was the drummer from Blondie playing with me.
Yeah.
And it was Wayne Kramer from the MC5 and the guy from GNR, Gilby Clark. So Don Randy, the owner, goes, "You got to meet my friend Stefan." I was going through a divorce at the time. He goes, "He's from Brooklyn. He's crazy like you." But the guy took a liking to me, and I'm trying to learn. I remember the song, "The Spinners." I get around. And this man is talking to me. "Don't get married. Don't do this. Never trust a woman." And I go, "I love Don's friend, but the guy is not leaving me alone." I go to Clem, the drummer of Blondie. He goes, "Do you know who that is, Stefan?" I go, No. Who is it?" "It's Hal Blaine."
Oh, the drummer.
Who, "Be My Baby," the anthems of everything, Beach Boys.
Oh, everything.
And I go, "Oh, well, he could stay. I don't care." that was my moment. And then the other one was in Toluca Lake. There was a place by Vitello's around there, not Toluca Lake, but there was an Italian. Across the street, there was an ice cream place. My buddy Tommy, drummer for Ozzy Osbourne. I go, "It's Johnny Rivers." I go, "You're in Ozzy Osbourne. Go up and say hi." I got nothing to say. I go, "We got to talk to Johnny Rivers. Say hi." He goes up to him, and Johnny Rivers says, "I'm not Johnny Rivers." Those are my two moments.
Oh, man. I did a Johnny Rivers on Joe Pass. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Of all people.
Oh, we get those moments in our life, but it makes us human. And I'm just on it. We'll start the show. I'll start a proper intro so I can make my editing later. So bear with me, Tommy. Everybody who's watching this, I got a legend, a fun guy, a real guy. And if it's your first time here, kids, give us a thumbs up. And if it's your last time and we annoyed you, send it to somebody who annoyed you as much as I annoyed you all. But today we have in the hot seat, the legendary Tommy Chong is in the house. We're going to talk about comedy, music. I hope we get to talk about music and what Tommy's doing now and all that good stuff. And it all starts now. Don't touch that dial. Check out how professional I get, Tommy. Bam. They're going wild, the audience. To see this, Tommy, they're going wild. Thank you, my friend, for being here.
No, my pleasure.
We're getting to know each other. It's like a first date, you know?
Yeah.
First dates could be awkward when you're trying to understand. And
it depends on how medicated you are. You know? That's what I found. You know?
But me being so Jewish and paranoid, I want to talk to you about everything. and I'm very, very paranoid guy. Everybody subscribe, hit that bell to be notified when we come on right under Tommy. And all links for Tommy and what he's doing now are going to be in the description down below. You know, I actually, it's funny because pot now, it's legal. I remember living in Brooklyn and it was, nickel bags and this and that. And I actually got in trouble myself.
You did?
Yeah, when I was a kid, my stepdad, his kids moved in with us, and I will never forget this. And my stepbrother liked to smoke weed in high school. So I figured I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I went in the kitchen cabinet, I took some oregano, I put it in a plastic bag, looking like a nickel bag, and I sold it to him for $5.
Oh, no. And he's living with you.
He was living with me. And what happened was I got in trouble because we cut out from school, and he goes, this tastes like pizza. I go, "It's special weed. It's from Italy. You can't get this." And my stepdad got really pissed at me about this. And that was my first experience and my last of being an entrepreneur with marijuana.
well, you sold them some oregano, man.
Oregano, $5. The spice only cost about back then $1.
Obviously, your brother wasn't Jewish, right?
No, he was so stoned out of his mind that he thought oregano. He goes, "This is really good." He told me.
So you did him a favor.
I did him a favor. I brought him down.
Yeah. Oh man.
But that was my thing. But I went to one of those places. Now they're all over the place, and people walking with little black bags. It's like a wine connoisseur. There's all these theories and all this stuff out there, and I picked out this stuff, and I drank a soda I bought, and I go, "This is good," and I guzzled it. I was like a zombie for a week after that.
I know they're infused. They'll kill you.
Yeah.
It'll shut you up for a long time. Yeah, I did the same thing with a gummy bear. Right after they legalized medically in Colorado.
Yeah.
Very first time, and I had a little taste of the flu, just a little bit. And so the shop owner, he says, "Well, do a gummy bear." And so he says to his helper, "Give me one of those gummy bears, the ones." And so he gave me one, and he said, "Just do a half." So I did a half, and I'm sitting there thinking, you know how it is, you get a little bit stoned, you think, I don't think that's working. The famous last words. Well, I was I could be led around. It was like breakfast at Bernie's, because I had to do a meet and greet and pictures with some fans, and they literally propped me up on a couch, and the fans come one at a time, sat beside me, and took a picture. But yeah. No, I've had those edibles where did too much, and you can't, like a joint. You can always put the joint out, or you can give it to somebody else, but you can't undo an edible.
You can't. No, it's in you, and some of them taste so good, like a cookie, and you just want to munch. You want to go crazy. Oh, this is good, and I don't feel it. What you just said.
Yeah, you don't feel it until you feel it.
You feel it.
Yeah.
So you almost got to be like analyze it and do it right. There's a theory to it, right?
Yeah, well, what I do
now.
No, what I do now, I wait until like I'm going to bed, and then why not? Then it's like, oh, go ahead, why not?
Go ahead.
You're going to sleep anyway. You're not going to hurt anybody.
Yeah.
Yourself, or you're not going to drive anywhere. More important. But I found now, my what do you call it? I get affected real easy now.
Yeah.
I don't need that much smoke anymore, but I still like to smoke. I got these strips that I sell, these breath strips.
Yeah.
And they're great. They're great. In fact, I'm going to do one now, I think.
Let's see. Let me show me this. I want to see what you got here, because and for people watching, we have a website, a web link for yours. There it is.
Yeah.
There it is. Right.
That's it.
Chocolate mint, huh?
Yeah. And now this one has got, I think it's 10 milligrams. Yeah, it's 10. And
look at that.
It's not bad. It's still like smoking a good joint.
Yeah.
The thing is, you get a little yappy,
So wait, it's just a mint, and you just not slip it under the tongue? Would it hit you fast if it's under the tongue?
I don't like the under the tongue thing. It fucks with my teeth somehow. No, I just swallow it.
Who told me about I'm afraid of flying, and I have a good friend of mine, and you probably know him, and I'm going to name drop really quick. He tells me, like, when you go on a plane, take a Valium under the tongue, Andrew Dice Clay.
Oh, the Dice Man.
He's one of my best friends, and I'm actually
a cool guy.
He's a cool guy. I told him you're coming on the show, so he sends his love to you. Great guy.
Yeah, he's great. And is he still with his girlfriend? Because she was kind of...
the blonde, Carrie. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So when did you see Dice last?
Oh, years ago. My wife and Cheech and I were all... Where were we? In Vegas? We're somewhere. And the Dice Man showed up. I think we're doing a club that he had done, or he was getting ready to do, something like that.
Yeah.
But we saw him, and it was like we'd known him forever. and I just met him, but that's the way the Dice Man is.
He's great. He's great guy, and I'm going to go for a month. I'm going to be staying with him. He's doing a movie in Canada. So what happened with Dice
Oh,
and I?
okay.
He goes, you're an actor. I never acted before Dice. So when he was prepping for Pam and Tommy, the miniseries he played a
Yeah.
gangster. He's calling me on the phone, sending me all the scripts, and
Yeah.
I go, Dice, I got to take my dog out. My wife's yelling at me. He goes, come on, dude, you're getting me angry. I go, no. I go, leave me alone right now. So then he goes, you acted before because you're doing it too good. I go, I never acted. So because of that, I'm going to go with him, help him prep for the role, and we're going to have fun together. He's
Oh,
a great
great.
guy. Yeah, great guy.
No, and I saw Dice before he was the Dice Man. I saw him act in a movie, and he was
Great
good.
actor. He's a great actor.
He was good. He knows how to do it. Well, another Brooklyn guy. You guys are all actors. I don't give a shit what you are.
But
If
now
you're from Brooklyn, you know how to act.
you know how to have a conversation and act. Now I'll tell you something about Dice. He's a great drummer. Now I'm going to share something about you. We're going to go back now in Tommy Chong's life. You were discovered. People don't know this, but Diana Ross had something to do with a band that you were in. I'm going to put a clip right here a little clip for the kids. Let's check this out. Does your mama know about me?
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. Now, tell me the story about Bobby Tiller and the Vancouvers. Does your mama know about me? Did you get discovered by Diana Ross? What's the story on this?
We were a club band.
Yeah.
I had a nightclub in Vancouver, Canada, and actually we needed a drummer, and so we called Bobby. We'd met Bobby. We'd been on the road, trying to get gigs down in the States. We were down here illegally, of course. And we met Bobby, and we called Bobby up looking for a drummer. And Bobby said, "Well, I can play drums." And so he came up, and Bobby just, he was just game for anything new. And Bobby was this phenomenal singer, vocalist that was a legend amongst about everybody that heard him. But he was also a little bit Wilson Pickett kind of crazy, the kind of guy that would, like he did. We hired him not only to play drums, but we had to buy a set of drums for him. And so he came up, and he was a hustler. So and from Brooklyn, by the way.
Oh, was he from Brooklyn?
Yeah, originally.
Oh, wow.
And he remember Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers?
Of course.
He was one of the doo-wop groups that were on the street singing, and he was with a group called the Pastels.
Yeah.
And there's a song called "Been So Long," it hit the hip parade. It hit thing. Bobby was a ringer. It was the guys at the Pastels were supposed to be all from the Air Force, and they entered a contest. And they brought Bobby in as a ringer, So Bobby didn't get any credit for singing the lead on "Been So Long," but you can still get it. It's really a cool song, and Bob, you can hear Bobby's voice. Anyway, Bobby came up to Vancouver, and so the bass player and I sang background with him, Wes Henderson and myself, and. At the time, first time I ever did coke, I did a tiny little bit of coke, and I got inspired, and I wrote a poem called "Does Your Mama Know About Me?" And at the same time, Bobby was dealing with Tom Baird. He was like the musical genius, Now Tom knew who I was, but he never had any respect for me because I was never that good of a guitar player, or a musician. But I could write poetry. So when Tom saw my poem, he says, "Hey, do you mind if I put this to music?" I said, "No, not at all." So he did, and he wrote the bridge to it. And next thing I know, Diana Ross comes to town with the Supremes, and they come down to our after hours club, and she hears the group. And I didn't meet her. She just was in there and the way the Lady Di would do it. She'd come in, heard the group, called Barry, said, "Barry, you got to hear these guys." And so Barry Barry, but it was a booty call too. You got to hear these guys, and while you're here, you can we'll get it on. We'll get it on. And so Barry Gordy came to Vancouver, heard us, loved us, signed us right away, and then forgot about us.
Wow.
And but we met Barry, and we, as far as we were concerned, we're with Motown.
Yeah.
And so we gigged our way across the country. We started in Vancouver, then we went to Seattle, and then we went from Seattle right to Los Angeles,
Mm-hmm.
and then from Los Angeles we flew right to Detroit, and we recorded the song, and it did pretty good. It got up there on the R&B charts.
Yeah.
And it put us on the same, because Diana Ross recorded it herself. She's got a good version of it, a very clean version, and that started my career with Motown. Basically as the guitar player, not a recording guy. I was at the very low end of the totem pole with Motown, but we traveled around. We were on the road with Diana Ross. We had opened for her, but our group we were way ahead of our time in so many ways. I had been going to improv groups like the Committee and Second City, and they were just starting out. The Committee was so new; they were in San Francisco, and they were had these great actors. Like, for instance, in Chicago, I saw Peter Boyle when he was part of the improv group
Wow.
in Seattle. I mean, in Chicago. And then I got interested in improvisational acting. I loved it. And then I got fired from Motown.
You got fired from Motown.
Yeah, because I had to get a green card, and the road manager, the kind of road managers that Motown had, they had no idea what a green card was. All they knew was that I had to take off. I had to miss a Saturday, a gig, to do the green card thing, and he told me, he said, if you miss a gig, you're fired. Well, I had to miss a gig, and of course I got fired. And then when I got fired, we were in Detroit, and Barry Gordy had us playing with backing up Chris Clark. Bobby had got separated. He went on a solo career, and so there wasn't really much future in Motown. And I'd seen my girlfriend, and I had my girlfriend on the road with me at the time. She was pregnant, and so she was with baby. She actually had the baby by then.
Oh, really?
And that was kind of funny too, because but when we went on to do the gig I got fired from, Barry Gordy was another one of Barry Gordy's girlfriends, and so Barry kind of flew there with us. Barry always felt like the Vancouvers was his band,
Yeah.
And so so my girlfriend and I, I was married too with another family, and so my girlfriend and the baby and I were on the plane, because we were late, and they kind of held up the plane for us. And Barry's going around saying, whose baby is this? And everybody knew, but no one wanted to answer. And so he forgot about it. We got on the plane, and so now I got my girlfriend at the motel with the baby, and I have to go back to Detroit from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. It wasn't a big flight, but it was still a ways. And so when I got to Detroit, I did my green card thing, got my green card, actually. And so I'm ready to go back to Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and there's no ticket for me. Oh, and the bass player is with me, by the way. I thought it would be insurance, he's not going to fire both of us. But so I took the bass player with me, and I was getting him a green card, which he never really wanted, and he never got it. But I got my green card, and I got back to Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and the bass player there again. It was all serendipity. He never said a word to me. He knew that I was fired, but because there was no ticket for me, and then they gave me a ticket, and so I get back to the gig, and it was one of those gigs where, everybody's sitting there ready to go, and I walk up with my guitar, and the guy says, Johnny Bristow, he was a singer, but he turned, road manager. He says, I told you, if you miss a gig, you're fired. So you're fired. And I looked at the rest of the band. Now they could have said, well, he's fired, I'm fired,
Yeah.
But they never. And to their credit, there was serendipity. I was meant to leave.
It was meant. It was meant.
It was meant to be. So
yeah.
So I go back to the motel, and my girlfriend Shelby, she goes, "Oh, you're home early." I says, "I got fired." And she goes, "Oh, that's good. That band sucked. Come to bed. Come to bed." And we've been together ever since.
That come to bed. That band sucked. Did you get to go and record in the actual Motown Detroit studio where the Funk Brothers did all that stuff?
I was there, but I was never good enough a musician to record. And unfortunately, they wouldn't let me really put my 2 cents in. I was just treated like a guy that can't play guitar good enough to record. That's the way they treated me, which is like a non-entity. And as far as lyricists go, lyricists don't get any credit, any kind of things, respect. But it was okay. No, I was in the studio. I was in,
the legendary little studio.
And if you listen to that recording of our recording, it was a lousy mix. The voices are really mixed down. And Tom Barrett, he liked the strings and French horns and all that. And that's all up in front,
Yeah.
But it was okay because I think it actually even helped the song become popular, because the message of the song was so strong, and it was the first time that Motown went in that direction. And then right after that, Love Child and Papa Was Rolling Stone and all the socially awareness songs came out of that. And now there's only 2 people in Motown that really respected me, and one was Berry Gordy. Berry Gordy was as sweet as can be, because when he found Barry found out that I got fired. Now, see, Johnny Bristow had no right to fire anybody. He's a road manager. You fire anybody, that's up to Berry Gordy. And because Berry Gordy was paying for that green card, that I missed the gig for. And so Barry called me up himself, and he said, there's been a horrible mistake. You're not fired, and and I told him, I said, I'm going to stay fired, Barry. And I said, I want to become a Berry Gordy Jr. I don't want to work for one.
You said that, huh? Wow.
Yeah, and he said, I respect that. He said, I respect that. And so he gave me a nice severance. He gave me enough to get out to California with my girlfriend.
Yeah.
and the baby.
And the baby. Whose baby is?
Yeah, whose baby? Whose baby is this?
What the hell is this? There's a baby.
and it's a white baby. It's a white baby. So there was it wasn't his. It wasn't Barry. Oh man, my Motown years, we had
I love it. The Motown years, I'm a big fan of it. So
that's how I got into comedy, because our band, especially Bobby is crazy.
Well, he went on to work with Michael Jackson. Is that true? He got to work with the Jacksons?
No, we discovered Michael Jackson.
Tell me this. Yeah.
We the Vancouvers, we were opening Michael, the Jackson 5 plus Johnny had won a contest in Gary, Indiana, and the winner of the contest, they're going to open for Bobby Taylor and the Vancouvers and Jerry Butler at the Regal Theater in Chicago. And so we show up and we checked out the opening act, and everybody was floored. This little guy has got a voice that's just kills. I mean, just above everybody, and he's he can dance better than anybody on the stage. Then he was like 8, 9 years old when we met him. Little guy. He used to pull a little Coke stand, carton over, and he'd stand up there, and he'd in the mirror, he's trying to fix his little do. So cute. Michael Jackson was a little adult when I met him. He acted more like growing up than anybody I'd ever met.
Really?
Because he was so cool. He was the way he looked and the way he moved and the way he acted. But he was still a kid. And so he'd come around and Bobby entertained him more than anything. And so when we heard him, Bobby said to Joe Jackson, says, well, come on, you guys got to come stay with me in Detroit, and I'll get you signed with Motown. And so Joe Jackson says, great, that's what they're looking for. And so they came, the whole family, all the guys anyway, and they stayed at Bobby's. Bobby had an apartment in Detroit, stayed in the apartment. And my first wife, Maxine, and my 2 daughters, Ray Dawn and Robbie, they were also staying with Bobby at the same time, because I had been deported from Detroit, because the Canadians that we were working with, they didn't know enough to lie, and they said that we were with Motown. So the immigration came by and they kicked us all out to Windsor, Ontario. And so I ended up, my wife, but the whose baby is that? Well, the word got back to Vancouver. And so next thing you know, I got my wife and daughters there. And they moved in just in time for me to get fired. And for me, then now they're settled in Detroit, with Bobby and everybody, Maxine and that. And in fact, Maxine, she really liked Detroit. She was a black girl from Calgary originally, and Detroit and Vancouver, but she never really lived in a black community before.
Mm-hmm.
And so she really liked Detroit for that. But we all ended up in Los Angeles. And so when I got fired from Motown, I took my girlfriend and we rented we had a drive-away car, where you take someone's car from Detroit and drive it to back to LA, or actually Palm Springs, where I ended up with it. So then when I quit Motown and moved to California, then I was going to just be a songwriter, and I tried my best, but
that was the plan, to be a songwriter. No comedy in your head.
No comedy whatsoever. So what happened? We had nightclubs where Bobby and I started playing, and so my brother called, he's, hey, I need you back here, because the clubs were starting to flounder a bit. So I went back, and by that time we had 2 clubs. We had a strip club, a strip bar, a titty bar, and an after hours club. Well, the after hours club was doing okay. It was doing good, but the titty bar needed help. So I went to work in the titty bar as a light man. And then I realized that these strippers, they look so beautiful when they walk in with their street clothes, but once they put on all the garb and that, then they all look like sluts,
Yeah.
And so I formed an improv group called the City Works with the doorman, a very funny guy named Dave. And, Dave and I, and then the girls, and then we had a straight man named Rick Lands, and he'd play all the cop parts, And so we had an improv club going really good, and then we got so popular that we got front page news, and they took a picture of Rick, our straight man, with the strippers on either side with their titties kind of in his ear, and Rick's wife thought he was doing community theater. She had no idea he was in an improv group with strippers, and so she fired him. Rick called me up and said, "Oh man, you can't make it." and so a mutual friend of the show and that, he said, I know a guy who would be perfect for the show. He works for me. He's a writer on this hippie magazine. And so that's when I met Cheech.
That's where Cheech enters.
Yeah, that Cheech came in, and then he wasn't Cheech. He was Richard, and so we didn't know he had a nickname even. He was just Richard Marin, and we didn't know what he was. He wouldn't letting anybody know he was Mexican. And so everybody
really.
He was, because he was up dodging the draft from L.A. in Canada. That's why he was in Canada, and he was he was doing okay, and then the improv group got so good that we ended up losing the job because we changed the crowd from a strip, the crazy guys with money, nothing but money to throw at the girls, to 300 theater goers who enjoyed the humor, but they would count their change and sip a little glass of wine, And so my brother said, we're losing money, so we have to go back to the stripping. And so that was the end of the group. So Cheech and I decided we'll stay together and we'll do music, because Cheech was a singer, as among other things. And so we put a band together, but we decided to do a little humor first. But we went out at the Battle of the Bands, and we never played a note. We just did humor for about an hour.
Yeah.
And of course, we won the Battle of the Bands. We're the most popular, but that we never played a note. And so that night, that's when I found out Cheech had a nickname, because we're trying to think of name of our group, Richard and Tommy, no, and Marin and Chong, no. I said, don't you have a nickname? He said, yeah, Cheech. And as soon as he said Cheech, it was like Cheech and Chong. It was just rolled off the lips,
Rolled off.
Yeah, and then I think the next day I found a little folk club, little comedy club that we could play, a little folk club. And so we tried our act out there. Again, it was like incredible. The response was just incredible. And then we decided, well, we got to go to L.A. And so Cheech snuck into L.A. from Canada. They weren't really expecting him at all. And we came to L.A. and we struggled for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And met Lou Adler, and the rest is history.
Lou Adler, famous for the Roxy, and Lou Adler was also married to Britt Eklund,
That's right.
Slim, where I met you, well, from afar, Slim Jim Phantom. He was married to her, and
well, he was dating her.
Lou was?
No, Slim Jim and Britt.
Yeah. And then I think they got married, but I could be wrong.
Did they get married? I don't.
Well, they're not married now, because if Jim's girlfriend Jenny is watching now, he's not married. He's married to you, Jenny. This is a long time ago. I got to cover the track. Don't get me in trouble, Tommy. I'm supposed to be an interview professional here.
Was it? I didn't know that they got married.
They have a kid together. They have a kid, TJ.
Really?
Yeah, he's like now close to 30. Great kid. Yeah. It's been a long time since
because Lou and Britt had a baby.
Nick
Adler.
Nick Adler. That's right.
Nick.
That's see, how isn't this great? You and I don't even know each other. I was a fan of yours. You got to see me play. You don't even remember me, and now we're making friends over here. A Jewish guy from Brooklyn and a troublemaker from Canada. I'm see. Don't.
Yeah, listen. The Cheech and Chong thing almost ended because Lou Adler, when we did Up in Smoke, we split from Lou because some shenanigans,
Yeah.
and it was a Jew from Brooklyn, New York, Howard Brown.
Howard
That
Brown, huh?
I met Howard Brown, and his thing was that he liked to live dangerously.
Uh-huh.
He was on the he was like the guy in Goodfellas, you know, that never got paid. Remember that always following De Niro around. Hey, you never paid me.
Maury's wigs.
Morty.
They don't fall off.
That's right.
That's
That's
Maury's
right.
wig.
That was kind of Howard Brown was like of that tribal thing, you know. And
Really?
Howard Brown, he was on the peripheral. He was a Jew from Brooklyn that knew everybody in town that you needed to know. And so when he found out that we were having troubles, you know, getting another gig, we got a hit movie called Up in Smoke. And no one would talk to us about anything else because they thought Lou Adler was the brains behind everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so I met Howard Brown. Now, Cheech never liked Howard from the get-go, you know. But Cheech's dad was a cop.
Oh, wow.
And so Howard was, and I'd grown up with gangsters. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I had a strip club in Vancouver. You know, and you don't get strip clubs in Canada unless you know a lot of gangsters. You know,
You got to know. You got to know. You got to
yeah.
know somebody that knows somebody.
So I met Howard, and I just fell in love with Howard. I loved him right from the very first time I met him. And he taught me. He taught me what to do,
Mm-hmm.
and we were like, we became really good friends and partners and producers and everything else. And he was actually more responsible, not personally responsible, but it was what came between Cheech and I,
Yeah.
because Cheech and I had always been tighter than brothers until we met, until Howard came along. And Howard just wanted to do what was right for
Yeah.
both of us, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But Cheech took offense to to his gangsterism, you know. Yeah, I love gangsters. I always have.
It's the charm. I actually, Goodfellas, that neighborhood, the bar that
Yeah,
they lit on fire, 5 blocks. I lived from there. That's where I
yeah,
grew up. That
I
neighborhood in
believe it.
Canarsie.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I know that whole area, man. Well, when Cheech and I were, you know, at our peak, we used to get limo drivers from that area. And the limo drivers, we'd be at a party and we'd turn around. Oh, there's our driver. He joined the party. Hey, what's up? How you going? Yeah,
oh
yeah.
my, it was a fun time, and what a great time. Lou Adler, I mean, God, he was almost like the monopoly of everything back then, because from
Well,
Mamas and Papas, he had his hands on everything.
he had them all. He had Carole King. We would have stayed with Lou, but you know, it just never worked out. And then when we got Howard figured out, you know, that I was the guy.
Uh,
You know, whoever writes the shit is the
yeah,
guy. You
yeah,
know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
Because you did,
You know.
you wrote. If anybody's watching, don't know, you wrote all these jokes too, as well, right? Co-wrote it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
guys, okay? Here's a fast clip. I want to know about Cousin Strawberry, right here for a sec, right here. I want to show the people watching really
What you
quick.
looking at, man? Oh, nothing. I wasn't looking. I wasn't looking at his neck, man.
Your friend better stay here, because we're going to go see some people of mine. And they don't like strange dudes. They don't fuck around.
Well, I'll stay here.
I love it, Tommy. That was one of my favorite scenes, and I still to this day, it's a joke. Don't look at the guy's neck. Don't look at, even if there's a deal going. Don't, like back and I go clubs to get paid, because you know how people are in the world. I go, don't look at his neck, man. It's iconic. Is there a real Cousin Strawberry out there? Oh wait, I lost your sound. Hold on 1 second. I think I lost your sound for a second. Uh-oh, no sound. Lost you. Let's see. Do it again. Talk. Can you do me a favor? Can you sign back on? Just click off and then come back on? Maybe that's what it is. Let's see. He'll come back on, everybody. Tommy Chung. This is a fantastic interview with Tommy. What a great guy. Debbie, this is why I got to do this stuff in Patreon. Xandra, thank you guys for all being here. All right, here comes Tommy. He's back in.
Okay, am I back?
Gotcha. Yeah, you're all good now. You're kosher. Thank you. This is hard when you're on my own producer. That's why I got to wear the glasses. To be honest with you, I do have eyes, and I hate doing that. But I'm trying to keep a set list here because my attention span is all over the place, and then I'll go from left to right, and I'm trying to keep it in order to show. Because then I
No
don't find
problem,
myself
man.
a breakdown. But thanks for being here with me. Was there a real cousin Strawberry? Anybody like that, or that just?
No, you know what happened? The character that I did, you know, in Up in Smoke, we had a light man, a kid. I met this kid when we had the strip club, you know, the improv club,
Mhm.
and I'm just putting it all together. And I'm walking down the street in Vancouver, and the snow was coming down, and through the street light, you know, just coming down very nice. And there's a garbage strike on in Vancouver, so there's piles of garbage and, you know, bags on the street. And I come across this scene of this kid with long red hair, a big overcoat, looked like a Dickens character, you know, Charles Dickens. He's got this long coat on. He's sitting on on the garbage bags, you know, and he goes, "Hey man, uh, do you have a place where I could crash?" You know, and I said, "Who are you?" And he said, "They call me Strawberry, man." And Strawberry, yeah. He had red hair, and so I figured, oh, okay. And I said, well, yeah, actually, I says, I got a nightclub. Would you like to say sleep in the sound booth there? That'd be a nice area. And he goes, oh, that would be awesome, man. And so I set him up with the club, you know, and he became our light man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because well, he's sleeping there anyway, and we needed someone to work the lights, and so he was part of the show because he was so funny. He was so honest with everything. Like if we tried a bit and if it didn't work, Strawberry would be backstage, go, "Oh man, that bit sucks, man." The audience is, oh man, they're booing. You know, oh God, he was funny, and everybody would get pissed off at him except me because he'd miss the blackouts, he'd miss everything, and everybody's freezing. You know, just Strawberry, come on, Strawberry. And so when we wrote the bit, you know, we wanted to have a Strawberry kind of guy in there, you know. But Tom Skerritt, all the actors in Up in Smoke, they kind of did their own thing. You know, that was
Yeah.
the good thing about it. You know, like Strother Martin, he wrote every line that he said. You know, about me getting the job by sundown.
Wow.
They all, Stacy Keach, you know, he figured out his own thing. They were improv excellence,
Hmm.
excellence, and so he. Yeah, 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 Tom Skerritt, you know, he kind of, I wrote some of it, you know. He was a Vietnam vet, you know, that had what do you call it, brain problems, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so looking at his neck, man, that was
It's a classic.
it was the classic Strawberry,
It's
because
a whole thing. It's almost like it's your Abbott and Costello, like the
yeah.
Susquehanna hat company thing. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things.
Well, I grew up with those kind of comedies, you know, when I was a kid. You know, the Bowery Boys and
Yes.
Abbott and Costello and Martin and Lewis. You know, I used to love Martin and Lewis movies because I'd laugh so hard you'd hurt yourself. You know,
Hmm.
Jerry would make you laugh so hard. So I really grew up with that knowledge, you know. And being a musician, you know, that's how you pick up shit, because you got to
True.
learn, you know, every note, you know. And I could do it easier with acting and comedy than I could with music, because acting and comedy was very natural. I also found out that like jazz musicians, they're everything. They're the high priest of spirituality, and they also have the best jokes. The best jokes I've ever heard were from jazz musicians, and they always had that one joke that, man, I mean, and I got a whole repertoire of jazz musician jokes. You know
Oh,
that you
really,
can't.
really.
Well, you can't do them just on certain occasions. You know,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
but
But all that's
that was and that was my ability to let other people do their thing.
hmm
You know, that really made up in smoke. You know, because everybody performed. You know, it wasn't a thing where you had to do, be in every scene and say every line, all the jokes. Just spread it around, so people, when they watching the movie, you don't know who's going to be funny in it, and next thing you know, you're on a beautiful trip that you want to keep taking over and over again, because each actor in the movies had their own thing, and they were incredible,
they,
and
e-
that's what we did. Yeah.
even the artwork, and I'm going to pop it up right here. It's just iconic when you
Yeah.
look at it. It's truly, it speaks the era too, that
Yeah.
time and place, and it's timeless. So that's be forever. It's funny, you're ahead of your time with the smoking and all this stuff. Everything was ahead of its time.
Yeah.
The whole
Yeah.
concept, which was great.
But again, see, that's jazz.
That's right.
That's jazz. They take songs that everybody like nursery rhymes, like Miles did.
Yeah, yeah.
Put your little foot down, yeah, da 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 da, do da do da do, do da do da do, da da. Miles, that's what those jazz guys could do, because they could take anything and make
Anything.
a masterpiece of it, you know. And so that's what we did with comedy, That's it. I used that same approach, that jazz approach. That there's goodness in everything. You just gotta give it a stage, or put a frame around it, bring it to everybody's attention, and it doesn't have to be loud. It can be
No.
very subtle, like jazz, sometimes that's what I listen to when I want to calm my mind.
hmm
you
hmm
know I put on Miles or Coltrane, and Coltrane. I got turned on to Coltrane and Pot basically the same time.
Really.
Actually, the first song I ever listened to was Ornette Coleman's. It was called "The Lonely Woman" or "Lonely Woman" by Ornette Coleman. And this friend of mine, bass player, or actually one of the founders of this jazz club in
hmm
Calgary. It was the only after hours anything in Calgary, but it was a jazz club devoted to jazz. And and he came back from LA with a Lenny Bruce record
Yeah.
and a joint, a whole bunch of joints, I guess. But he gave me a joint, a marijuana cigarette, and a Lenny Bruce record, and and so I put the joint in my pocket, and so then he lit up another joint, and I took a toke, and my first toke, I was 17 years old. And then I heard Ornette Coleman's "Lonely Woman" for the first time, and I literally could see a lonely woman sitting in the window, looking out on the street, and and just kind of looking into the past, or just very lonely, just being alone. Wow,
Then your first experience, huh? It's like,
that was the first. That was the
wow.
first. Because I wasn't sure. I wasn't about to be doing something. I had no idea what the effect was going to be like or anything. Because no one tells you, and you can't explain it. But wow, I heard music, and then I think I quit school. I think the next week or the next
hmm
day, because I realized I'm not going anywhere in school. You
Yeah.
know, I got to I got to get on the street. I got to learn to get on the street. And because I was a musician, yeah, we found ways to do the music life. And to right now, I'm still doing it. I'm still doing it.
It's it's funny. I'm listening to you talk, and I did the same. I quit at a young age school because I wanted to play music, and I didn't know. I got a job on Hollywood Boulevard. Being a musician, I moved to Hollywood. And I got a job at Playmates on Wilcox and Hollywood Boulevard, a lingerie store, women's lingerie store. Not bad gig, huh? To hand out flyers on my gig at the lingerie store to the strippers.
Well, yeah, you're a Jew from Brooklyn.
That's
There's always some way to make money.
You got to find a way to make the money.
That's the Chinese way too, by the way.
Yeah.
The Chinese, when the Chinese came over, they were brought over to put the railroad in Canada. Because they had knowledge of explosives that no one else had. And so the Chinese, that's how I got here, is because my grandfather, he was part of the workforce that came over to work the railroad. Except my grandfather, when he got off the boat, he goes, I think I'll open a gambling joint over here, and forget the railroad. I'm more of a gambler.
Yeah.
So my grandfather opened a gambling joint, and then my dad grew up in Vancouver, and then he met my mother, who was this beautiful part native, a quarter native, Scotch Irish, beautiful lady, maid, and then they had their own family. They had their own Tommy Chongs and their own Stanley Chongs. Yeah, so it's all connected,
Yeah.
That we're where we are and what we're doing. Yeah.
It is all connected. I got it in the chat over here. I got Debbie Muller. She's like, I need some gummies to get more creative. And you know what, Debbie? I'm glad you said that, because I'm going to do a shameless plug here. If you need any stuff right here, I want you guys to go in the links down below. Tommy Chong's, he has it all. He has, if your muscles hurt, you got anything, it's there. How about that?
Yeah.
Tommy? Huh?
Oh no, that's the best stuff, man. I've been doing, like I just did a breast strip, and I went to the doctors yesterday to do a what do they call it, the stress test.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and kind of they mess with you a little bit, because they take time to do the test, and they're looking at the results, and then they call someone over and they say, what do you, they point at something, and then I say, everything okay? They go, no, it's good.
No, I get paranoid. I get it's called white coat syndrome when I walk into, and I start, my blood pressure goes up, and I actually get crazy. I had such a panic attack. I was somewhere with my wife, and I thought I was having a heart attack. And I have older kids from another marriage. She's 25, but we have a young daughter named Brooklyn. She'll be 7. And I'm in Portland at a hotel for a business meeting my wife had to do. And 2 a.m, I go to my wife. I go, got to call the ambulance. I'm having a heart attack. So I do a morning show with a doctor. Take the calcium score test. It's only $170. He goes, I'll pay for it. I go, no. I'll handle it. And there was nothing wrong with me. It was all up here. It's out of but I thought 911. I go, I don't want the ambulance. I got Tommy. I freaked out. I'm going to click on your link to get a little more not so neurotic.
Well, my friend, my daughter's driving me to the stress test.
Yeah.
And you know what they call the emergency room? A Jewish spa. Isn't that funny? Oh man,
it's so true.
She's from New York too, Dana. She's a fashion coordinator for like Vogue magazine. Although she's an ex-model friend of my daughter's, but doesn't that just nail it?
Oh, I get crazy. You know what? You live some life, everything. I mean, I got to ask you, all the people, what's a moment that you had? I don't know. You probably smoked with a lot of people. Like I know the Willie Nelson, Snoop Dogg. Is it true? Because I was reading Schwarzenegger smokes.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't.
That's
I
the
didn't.
only thing those like I got one of the reasons that I wanted to go to California, Los Angeles was work out at Gold's Gym because I got turned on to bodybuilding when I started playing music. The bouncers at the beginning of the bouncers at the door. They're all big muscle heads, and
Yeah.
they got me quitting smoking. Come on down to the gym for Christ's sake. And so I started bodybuilding early in my career, my life. And
Wow.
so that's why. And Cheech and I both we'd play basketball when we were on the road. No partying or anything like that. We did our share, but
Yeah.
we'd always get up early and go find a basketball game somewhere. The whole time we were on the road, and then I worked out with weights all my life, and so I was my girlfriend, now wife Shelby, and I were at Gold's Gym, and Shelby would be on the beach, with the baby, and Arnold would come and sit beside me, or he was trying to learn English at the time, and yeah, we got to know Arnold. Everybody, he didn't really remember me
Really?
until the movies hit.
Yeah.
But I'm a little skinny punk, and he's Mr. Universe 5 times. So, but we had a mutual friend that ran the gym. His name was Zabel, and Zabel was what was he? He was Polish,
Yeah.
Polish guy from New Jersey. And he was a big cliff diver at one time, and a gymnast, and he had the best natural body in the world. Well, Zabel would have pot parties over at his house, and the deal was you got the big ass bong, and they would put it like an eighth in the bowl and fire it up with a torch, and these big muscleheads would toke on it till the burning coal would go into the water and explode. and that was their thing, and that's where Arnold used to go over to Zabel's all the time and partake with that. And then after he would do a concert,
Yeah.
a contest, he'd light up his victory toke. And so Arnold, that's the only thing he did. He wouldn't drink any alcohol or anything wrong,
Yeah.
do anything bad for his body. And then like an idiot, he started smoking cigars, which gave him gave him a
Yeah.
bad heart. So.
The smoking the cigar. I did a gig. It's funny. I did a gig with Eddie Van Halen. He hired us to play. This is after he was with the cancer, and he was blaming the cancer on his guitar picks, these certain guitar picks he was using. But he was, it was at his house on Coldwater where his studio was, and we
Sure.
did, and he's smoking while telling me this story, and I'm like looking at the guy because when you're speaking to somebody like that, you're like thinking, oh, okay, he's right. You can't argue,
No. You're at the feet of the master. Yeah.
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 Just
So
let it go. It's like, you're right.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I had another buddy. Same thing. He told me that he got his he got his cancer stage 4 when I was getting mine treated. I'd go down into where they do the zap you with the radiation, and I met my radiation doctor, and I asked him how my buddy was doing, and he didn't say anything, just held up 4 fingers, and that's all. It
Yeah.
was over. Same thing. He's told me, I might have got this from smoking pot. In the meantime, he was like a packaged cigarette an hour kind
Yeah.
of guy,
Yeah. You just can't say no. You just like let it go. Let it go.
Oh, he's dying. What are you going to say? Oh, yeah, you're
well,
right.
you're right. I mean, man, yeah, you know what? You're a survivor, man, and you're still going strong. You got so many stories, and a cancer survivor. When you realized was it prostate? Was that what it was? Prostate cancer?
Prostate. Yeah, I started out with prostate. Yeah, I think I got it because I quit smoking weed. Because I was, in 03, I got busted for bongs, and so I went to jail, and that's where I
You think
got
the
everything.
stress? You think the stress of everything just
Well,
contributed?
it could have been the stress, and it could have been the fact that the jail's built over a toxic waste dump.
Oh, really?
That's where it was in Taft. And when they first discovered oil, they had no way to cap it. So they would just build a big pond, and then they would fill the pond up with oil, and then they would scoop the barrels in and truck the barrels into the refinery. And so what they did after they figured out how to do, pipes right direct to the refinery, the land was useless, so they built a prison over it. And everybody in the prison, that when I was there, uh, most of them are gone from, they got cancer, brain
Wow.
cancer, lung cancer, all sorts of cancers. And
Wow.
so when I was there, I picked up prostate cancer. And then I made a big mistake, man. If you ever get cancer, don't do a biopsy. Do
Really?
not do a biopsy.
Really?
Well, you got it. They know you got it. The biopsy is just more money for the labs and for the technicians and shit. It's just another excuse to take some money. But what the biopsy can do and will do and has done is spread the cancer, because they're microscopic germs, and you go in there with any kind of instrument, and you take a little piece of flesh out,
Mm.
you got cancer, and everywhere that instrument touches, you can infect. And I think that's how I got rectal cancer, because the
Wow.
prostate they're just going to leave and hope that I die of something else first.
Mm.
It's a lazy, again, it's a stupid attitude. And so what happened when I got when I got the rectal cancer, and I got that, I think, from a combination of the biopsy and the stress and being
Mhm.
on Dancing with the Stars. And so then I ended up, now I had to radiate the tumor that I had on the rectum.
Mhm.
And so what the radiologist said, okay, well, we're down here, we'll take care of your prostate too. And so they cleaned out everything. And then I did the operation. You got the exit moved around to the front, and within days I was out of the hospital, about a week. And thanks to CBD, I started getting injections,
Mhm.
CBD injections into the butt, right into the butt. And so I had no problem with the opioid. I never really got on them.
Mhm.
I got on them for about a couple of days, and I really enjoyed them. They had a button where I could hit this button and it would release the good stuff into the system.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was hitting that button like a little bongo player, you know,
It,
because
it,
I really wanted to try it all, and I got a little taste, but I never got any kind of habit or anything like that.
yeah.
And so I got out. Next thing you know, I'm doing CBDs, and everything's fine. Everything's
So,
good.
so
No cancer at all in my
no
body.
cancer.
No.
That's great. I got to tell you, because I'm the type of guy that doesn't even like taking aspirin. So the medical world, the system is so broken as we know it. Just the whole health system is just such a wreck out there. It's a racket. The pharmaceutical world.
It is, unless you know really wealthy Jews.
You got to know.
They
Yes.
they do the research,
Hmm.
and they know who's doing what. See, the reason you guys got into medicine, the Jews got into medicine, is that because no doctors, in that early world would treat
Hmm.
anybody that was Jewish. So you had to get, that's the Chinese. That's what the Chinese had to do too. What the Chinese did, they had to get lawyers. And so all their kids went to law school. Because like in Canada, it wasn't legal to be a Chinese or to even vote until the 60s,
Yeah. Yeah.
before the Chinese could actually vote and hold office. And they couldn't even have their name on a business. That's why you had Acme Fruit, or all these weird generic names.
Yeah.
Standard Fruit. They're all Chinese owned,
Yeah.
because the Chinese knew all the that grocery business. Well, they invented it. The word chow is the Chinese slang for food.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, so I that's how I got the stress test and all the good doctors, all my Jewish friends, connections,
Yeah.
and my wife.
It's about a Jewish doctor then, right? You make sure you ask them if they had a bar mitzvah. I got to make sure you're qualified to take care of me.
Oh yeah. I have. Oh man, my wife. They hide. Everybody in Canada tried to hide their Jewishness.
Really?
Oh yeah, they had it. I dated a Jewish girl, and she would show up to go to the movies, and she'd have a yarmulke, and then I'll be right with you. And then she'd take it. I had no clue who she was. What? Lorraine Frompson. I remembered her name.
You remember?
Lorraine Frompson, and she was my Jewish date. When I was taking girls to the movies.
Yeah.
But my wife Shelby, her grandfather was Hammerstein. That was her grandfather's name, but they said it was a German name. They would not admit to being Jewish, and the grandfather was a seamstress. What do you call it? Yeah, tailor.
Taylor.
Yeah, and my wife Shelby was so Jewish.
Is she? Does she have the mannerisms down? Does she go? She's
got the brain.
Is she at the grocery store looking at everything they ring up? That's what I need to know. Like about to attack them?
I know. Between her and other Jewish friends, when we eat out, the gratuity is included. Did you know that? The gratuity is included. And it's almost like, give me that check. Give me the $20 back.
Don't leave a tip. That's it.
Or don't even use the car valet. walk a few blocks.
That's right.
Oh my God. Here's the best one. My friend John Lasker and Fran. Oh my God. In fact, Fran was the one, Paul Reiser. Remember the series he had?
Yeah, what was the actress? The blonde that he had.
Yeah. Anyway, the best friend is named Fran, after my friend Lasker, because Fran is so typical. So typical. And John Lasker's father was the head of the stock exchange.
Yeah.
Back in the day, back in the 60s. Oh man, they're so beautiful. But Shelby, my wife, oh my God. When I went to jail, she said, I said, listen, she was sad. I said, listen, we got property up in Canada. Why don't you go up and parlay that property into some real estate stuff? And she just gave me that look like, yeah, I'm on it. She made more. I made more money when I was in jail with her. She bought 2 huge apartment buildings, 20, 30 unit apartment, but two, and a house that in a nice area that she redid. And I was in there 9 months.
9 months.
9 months, and I come out a millionaire. She parlayed it all, and then she had her family do all the work.
Did you have renters in there? Were you doing? Was she renting it out?
14, 15 units.
Holy wow!
2 of them.
Wow.
2 of them.
That's the way to do it.
And when I got out, we stayed at one house that she had bought. And there's no bed. It was nice. We had a little camp, little thing. And the lady that actually was renting the house.
Yeah.
she thought I was a worker.
Yeah.
And so she wouldn't talk to me at first because she thought I was just a worker.
She didn't know who you were, nothing. That's it. Just walk by. Grumpy look
Yeah,
she
yeah,
probably gave you. Yeah.
and the apartment buildings. The only thing I could do to make myself useful would be to clean up the garbage area, because when I was in prison, I was a sweeper, and so I swept up everything, and
You got the
yeah,
technique down.
yeah. So that was a natural, and so these guys would come by and kind of recognize me, and here's the guy, the owner of the building up there, doing the garbage detail.
But nobody would recognize you. You think somebody be sitting with a DVD player in the house? Hey, I think that guy looks familiar. That's sweeping over
Well,
there.
some of them do.
Okay.
Some of them recognize me, but for the
Mm.
most part,
Yeah.
people don't. You don't really look at the laborer types.
Tommy, I have my real estate license. It's just good to have. You got to think outside the box.
That's another thing. My Shelby, she could be a realtor. In fact,
Does she have a license?
no, but she got her girlfriend when she met her girlfriend. Yeah, it's been years
She
now.
could take the test and she could take the commission.
She got her real estate license, and then when she came here,
Yeah.
we're in LA, and she started buying houses here. Same thing, and fixing them up, renting them out, Airbnb them. My son, in fact, both my sons, thanks to Shelby, they all got houses. Oh no, she's
She's good.
oh my God.
She knows how to. You know what? That's the way you
And
do it.
she's an artist. I mean, she's a painter, and she's a seamstress, and she's a comedian. She did the comedy with me. Her and I,
Yeah.
we became a comedy team, and then she became, before she was like just introducing me. She'd do a little time and bring me up,
Yeah.
and then. Then Cheech and I joined up, and Shelby says, "You're not going to dump me. I'm going to be
She
part of
said.
that show. I'm part of that show." So she was like the third part of the show for years, eight some odd years, and then we went to Australia, and then so the promoter over there says, "Okay, we'll put Shelby on first, then we'll have an intermission,
Yeah.
and then Cheech and Chong." And Shelby goes, "Oh, okay." She's all happy for it. I was a little worried, because, now she's on her own and she kills.
So she goes out and performs on her own. She does her.
Not anymore.
No,
No. She retired with me.
It's tough comedy. It's standing up alone without an instrument. I mean, I could be funny like this, but
you only do it if you have to.
yeah, it's a tough one.
Only if you have to. And I had to learn, because after Cheech and I broke up, I tried out movies, I tried a few things, and it wasn't the same,
Not the same.
Then I went and saw, come on, I'll think of his name. He was on Saturday Night Live forever. Dennis Miller.
Yeah.
I went and saw Dennis Miller in Vancouver. He's working a little comedy club. And so I went and saw his act, and I got the bug. He was having so much fun, and I said, "Oh, I got to do this."
Yeah.
And so then I started doing stand up on my own, and that was good. And in the beginning, I was okay because I was so worried about the stage, trying to get a show together. And then after I got the show working really good, then I started missing my lady, and I knew better than to, leave her home alone. It wouldn't be long before somebody else would discover her. So I actually wanted her to come on the road. She didn't want to come on, even if I could afford it. She goes, and I said, "How about if I put you in the show?" And right away she just looked at me and said, "Okay." And she's a natural. She's such a natural. And now it looks like we're going to be doing she's going to be doing her own podcast.
Is she?
Yeah. So
That's
cool.
Cool.
Yeah, you're gonna love her, man.
You think I could get her? You think you could put the good word? I could get her as a guest on my show one day, maybe.
Well, I'll I'll
Uh-huh.
see what I'll see what I can
See
do.
what you could do. Help me
See
out a
if see
little,
if I
Tommy.
got see if I got influence. And it's not about helping, by the way.
Yeah.
It's about what it's going to do to her career.
I completely understand. How many years you been married to her?
Well, our oldest daughter is over 50.
Oh wow, wow! That's congratulations.
Yeah, we've been together a good 60 years. Isn't that
Yeah,
something?
that's
Yeah.
wow. Congratulations.
I met her when she was, and the reason we were together was that I was married. And so she felt very safe, and she knew my wife,
Yeah,
and so she felt very safe that we could be friends and,
yeah,
have a little booty call on the side,
yeah.
but, I could never be serious about her because she never wanted to get married. And, but she really was instrumental in creating me,
Yeah.
because she was the one that made me, aware of my appearance, for one
Hmm.
thing, how to look good as far as she's concerned. Because one time when I first met her, I was wearing a dickie, that
Yeah.
phony
Yeah.
dickie under that was part of a band uniform. Remember
That's
the
right.
days where you just wore the same shirt? Okay, that's the uniform, you know?
Yeah.
Well, the first time I was going to give her a ride to another nightclub, she got in the car and she wouldn't look at me. She's looking out the window, and then she goes, "Take off that dickie." And it's not hello, how are you? I'm, take off that dickie. And oh, sure. I take it off. And she said, "No, get me some popcorn." Because we were like a carnival. We had just played um, what do you call it? Battle of the Bands kind of
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
and we won it. We won it, by the way, and we're going to give the girls. They were big fans. We're going to give the girls a ride to this popular nightclub that they weren't supposed to be in. Their mom and dad were out of town, and they were on the loose, but they were like 15 years old. No, one her daughter her sister was 14, and she was like Shelby was 16,
Yeah.
and that's when I first met her. It was take off the dickie.
That was the line. That was the line. You go, this is it. This is the woman for me.
Take off the dickie and get me some popcorn,
Take
and
off.
then drop us off at the Harlem Nocturne.
Think about
That
that.
was it.
Those three lines right now.
Yeah.
Take off the dickie. Get me some popcorn. Now drop me off. Think about.
But check this out. We were trying to tell him, well, you got to come to our club. We just opened, and it's a after hours club, and it's a dance, and if you like the band, we're playing there. And he said, "Nah, there's no one there. No one knows what." So, but when they got to their other club, they wouldn't let him in. I think they were too young to
Yeah.
get in that club, and so then her and her sister said, "Oh, well, we know of a club we can get into." And they said, "Where?" "Well, it's a new club." And she literally piped the crowd from that were hanging out. The club was so packed, there's people hanging outside. And so well, I know a club we can go to. And so she, like a Pied Piper, she led them down. And we're in our basement club playing away. No one's there. And all of a sudden, there's a little commotion at the door, and I look up, and there's Shelby with all these people behind her, and Shelby and her sister.
Yeah.
And my brother looks at her. I mean, they're obviously too young to be anywhere. And I told my brother, let him in. And next thing you know, the club was packed, and it stayed packed until we closed it. About
Wow.
6 years later, packed every night, and it
Wow.
was, and that. Are you kidding? I had to keep this lady, and this is why we got what we got.
That's great. That's
Over
great.
here, she was the one that. I mean, I named the Cheech and Chong. I put it all together, but she was
Yeah.
she was the one. When I got fired from Barry Gordy, she was the one that. Oh, that's good. That band sucked. Come to bed. You know.
That's wild.
And
That's
and,
wild.
and, and no, she is my. everything, my muse, my
Yeah.
everything. And then she started dancing salsa because she's a dancer. And it wasn't about dancing with your husband. No, it's about she's a dancer. She wants to dance. She wants to be led around by a good dancer. And so I had to learn how to dance salsa. And then I had to learn how to dance tango.
Is that before Dancing with the Stars? Is that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's why I got in. She wanted to be on Dancing with the Stars.
yeah.
And but when they found out she was married to, they said, well, okay, not you, but him. You know, if you can get him on Dancing with the Stars, which she did. And then, yeah.
Here's a picture of you guys. There you are on Dancing with the Stars with the dancers.
PETA.
Yeah, that's right.
That's my partner, PETA.
That's right.
That got a little uncomfortable at home.
Yeah, right. Did you get in trouble when you get at home? You know, I wanted to be on that show. You're on that show, and now look at you. Why are you smiling over there, Tommy?
No nagging. No nagging. No words like that.
No.
No, I was the one that messed up. Well, PETA, as beautiful as she is, she's not Shelby.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm looking at PETA thinking, she's gorgeous, but what's missing? You know, there's something missing. And I realized what it was. The perfume, the smell.
Yeah.
See? And so I asked Shelby, I says, what perfume do you wear? And when I think about it, I think, what a stupid fucking question to ask your wife when you're dancing with a beautiful girl. Like, I would like her to wear what you wear. She got so mad that I can't even bring it up now, because if I ever mention it, because she did not understand my reasoning, you know, and I'm not sure I do either.
What was going on? Was it too much of this website right here, Tommy? What was going on?
I've got a thing about being honest.
Yeah.
Because that's what I discovered. The more honest something is, the better it is, you know. And so, like, you're tuning your guitar. If your guitar is a little bit out of tune, it can be annoying. You know what I mean? It can bug you. But if it's in perfect tune, then it's more than nice. It's very special.
Yeah.
You know. And so the truth, when you deal with the truth, it can get you in trouble. That's why, you know, mystics and the wise people, they very seldom talk. You know.
I know. Well, less is best, but I have a problem. I'm from Brooklyn.
I know. I mean, we think as we talk.
I wear my heart on my sleeve. There's no.
Yeah. But I mean, that's us. That's why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
But there's some very good wisdom about keeping your mouth shut, especially don't say something stupid. Well, when I was on Dancing with the Stars, there was a bit where I danced with two girls, you know, and then they try to get it around to, you know, but who do I owe my success and everything to? And they're trying to get me to bring the weight back in.
Yeah.
But I'm out there, and they, well, PETA, you know, I said, my partner, that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
You know that, and I'm thinking why I'm here. I mean, why I've gone as good as I did. That's what I was thinking. I wasn't thinking of why I was on the show. I wasn't.
Because you went pretty far. You went pretty far on the show.
I went to the finals.
That's crazy.
It was way too much.
Did you think you were going to go that far?
No. I was hoping I wouldn't go that far. I mean, there was no way I was going to win.
Yeah.
There was a question mark whether I was going to be able to finish, you know, because they got ruling. And so then they said, oh, you made the finals. I was like, oh, fuck. because by that time I knew there was something wrong.
Yeah.
With my body, I knew there was something that I had to go take care of some serious
Your
issues.
body was telling you, basically.
I had cancer.
Yeah.
And that's when that tumor came out, and so it was just a matter of time before I was off that show. But what they did, they kept me on as long because I was so popular with the crowd.
With the yeah.
Yeah, just being a comedian, I guess, and being me, and then being able to dance, good enough so they can go, hey, well, he's not that bad,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And then they look at the age and let's see how long we can keep him on there.
Make him suffer. Keep him up there.
Well, yeah, just they call it, the audience calls it respect.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it. I
Yeah.
appreciate that part, but
it's a lot of work, the training, all that, what you got to go through. How brutal is that? Especially
it was brutal, but I'm a survivor, man.
Yeah.
I'm Canadian, and the thing is, it doesn't take us long to figure out how to get around from doing the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
And so what I did, I realized you got professional dancers there, on set at your disposal. And so I would just let them do all the rehearsing and the practicing and everything else. And then I could do it. I'd do a run through, make sure I could do it. And then I would do it. But I was never under any kind of illusion that I was going to win, let alone finish. Because they all thought, at my age and that, I'd only, because I'm a comedian, they thought I'm going to be funny for a while, and then I'm sorry, but we got to let you go.
Yeah, yeah.
But the fact that I could dance, that blew everybody's mind.
And the audience started loving you as well, and the ratings probably.
What can you imagine? You get a comedian that can actually dance.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it's like, whoa. Yeah, I impressed the shit out of Julianne Moore. She was the lead dancer. Yeah. And what's her brother?
The blonde guy, I forget his name.
Yeah.
He's another one. D or something. I know who you're talking about. Yeah. Good looking guy.
Yeah. Well, she even said on the show, when they're talking about, what do you think of Tom? She goes, I got a crush on him.
It's the
and
move.
Right then I just knew what Shelby was thinking.
You got it's the Chong moves. That's it. You get yourself in trouble. You should.
I just kept getting myself in trouble.
That's great.
Yeah, but it was almost like payback.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't that she wanted me on the show. She wanted to be on the show. And so she's pissed off at me for more than one reason, First of all, you're in my spot, dude. It was great. It's a comedic. It was very funny.
That's a good one. What about, I know while you're in prison life, like, what was it like in there? You had your cellmate, which is, we talked earlier about the mob, the gangster stuff, and who made the movie, Martin Scorsese, the best Goodfellas, who went on making Wolf of Wall Street. But you had a cellmate, Jordan Belfort, and you encouraged him to write his autobiography, on there.
Yeah, well, that's the Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah.
That's crazy. There'd be no movie if it wasn't for you, basically.
No, for sure. And I'm working on another project similar to that. I got a guy that I know that has got an incredible story, his own story, and so we're going to do like a character, like a novel. I'm getting him to write a novel first, and then we're going to bring that into on the screen. A very, very good character. It's like an intellectual or nerdy Rambo, instead of being the tough guy, This guy's all about the figures in his head. It's a good. I'll tell you a little bit of a story about it because it's incredible.
Yeah.
He was a product. His name is J.P. John Paul Cohen. He was born out of wedlock to a quite a wealthy, well-to-do family in France. And because he was out of wedlock, they had to put him up for adoption because the bride and groom got a little bit too carried away too soon.
Mm-hmm.
And back in the day, and there was no, she had to have the baby, and it was a love child for sure. But she had to give him up in order to keep from becoming that loose woman that wasn't a virgin when she got married, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so John Paul ended up in an orphanage. Now, he's in this orphanage, and he's Catholic and everything else. In the meantime, this Jewish family in Beverly Hills, the Cohens, had a tinge of guilt. They got their family, and they felt, well, they want to adopt a Jewish baby, that
Mm-hmm.
needs adopting. And so they got a hold of this adoption agency in France, which, of course, we're all Catholic. And so they found this little Jewish orphan, but the baby died when Cohens were coming to pick him up. And so rather than to give up the money, they substituted John Paul in there as the baby. And so little John Paul, this little Catholic out of wedlock baby, ends up being adopted by the Cohens. And not only adopted, but it was kind of around wartime, in the 40s, right after the war. So there was no real immigration or checkpoints or where you been, nothing like that. You usually brought a baby in with you as part of the family, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
So, but JP was born in France. And so in French, they keep track of their citizens. And so JP, now he's in Beverly Hills, being raised by a Jewish family, the Cohens, he was into oil, I believe. Very wealthy. And they had, JP grew up with a lot of siblings, But the weird thing was that JP was never treated like a Jew all his life. When they go to synagogue, JP never went. JP didn't have to go for some reason, and they never really told anybody why. And so JP grew up in this Beverly Hills home, rode his bike with Dean Martin, the sons. He grew up in Hollywood and knew all these kids and everything else. He turns 18 and he's going to college, and JP is doing really good in school.
Yeah.
Compared to the rest of them, but JP is kind of a brain. He's different. So he turns 18, and next thing you know, he gets a letter from the French government. It's a draft notice. You're 18, you're hereby noticed to report to the draft in France.
Wow.
That's when JP found out that he was adopted.
Wow.
And so JP and his dad, now they're telling the truth, or at least partial of the truth. They go back to France. Well, it was really a formality. All they wanted to do is you come in and say, yeah, I'm JP. And they say, okay, thank you. And they check off a list, and they know who you are, where you are, but there's no war, nothing. And so that's what happened with JP. They said, oh, okay, thank you. See you later. So now he's coming back in the States, but he can't get back in the States. He has no passport. He's a French citizen. And so now the Cohens going, well, what are we going to do? They won't let him back in. Well, there's one way he can get back in. That's if he joins the armed services or something. And so JP joins the Air Force. He wants to learn how to fly.
Yeah.
And so he ends up going to learning how to fly. And he ends up in the Vietnam War as a pilot for cargo planes. And while he's over in Vietnam, he gets wounded. He gets shot in the chest, and takes a round in the chest. And so he goes to the hospital, and while they were giving him medicine, he got TB, and they had to remove a lung, and then the medicine that they give him to take out the TB, and that took out his hearing. So JP's totally deaf. He can put hearing aids in, and then he can hear, but he's still technically deaf. But he ends up using the GI Bill, and he puts himself through university, and he becomes this kind of a genius guy. Ends up being head of Wells Fargo Bank.
Wow.
Yeah, one of the heads. And so he spends most of his career working for the banking industry and helping people like the .comers and that get financed, and he ends up he's this. Well, he got a couple of degrees, in math and finance. He's a genius, in other words.
Yeah.
And so we hooked up. We become friends, and he's my partner in the marijuana business.
Oh, he is. Oh, wow.
Yeah, JP. And so but now we're going public, and we got this other big company interested in that. So JP now, so I got him writing, because he's got all these Vietnam stories. He's incredible. It's just his family and everything else. And so we're creating a character based on JP. And
I'm sure he has many. I'm sure he has many stories.
Can you imagine?
Even when you mentioned the Dean Martin, that he was hanging with the kids
yeah.
You know, it's crazy. Yeah. I interviewed on my show a gentleman named Billy Hinchy, and he passed away. He was a great guy, and he was in the band. Dino, it was Dean Martin's son, Hinchy, Billy, and he was part of that with Desmond Jr. And Frank Sinatra signed them. And I wonder if he even went to school with those guys, so knew them. But anyway,
probably did.
Billy Hinchy, yeah, played with the Beach Boys later on. Billy, yeah. And that's why it's so crazy you tell me this story.
Isn't that something? And just recently, JP, he meets Wendy, his wife, and she's like a secretary. What do you call it? Executive secretary for the head of Warner Brothers for a while, and then head of Paramount for a while, Wendy, and that's his partner, and that they do things together, and Wendy kind of translates for JP sometimes, because JP can't hear that.
The hearing.
The hearing.
The hearing.
No, he's an incredible guy. But I got him writing now, and so I'm going to see if I can do what I did with
pick his brain and throw it out there.
That's what happened with Jordan. All I did with Jordan is encourage him. I didn't tell him. I didn't have to tell him anything. He's a genius. These genius guys, and they're geniuses because they do research. They don't like to talk about anything unless they know everything about it. And so if they don't know anything about it, then they'll learn.
They learn. They go deep. There's people like that.
They go right into it. And for JP, when we got him into the weed business, because of his lack of hearing and the fact that this is a brand new business, and so he had to learn like we all did.
Yeah.
But now I realize that his talent has got to be in his storytelling, and then creating a character. And the other thing he does too, he reads a novel, I think he's always reading two novels, fiction and a reality thing every night, and he'll read
Two novels he'll read at the same
Yeah,
time.
yeah. He's reading two novels now, so I can't wait to get him writing. Well,
Yeah.
we did a thing. I've been doing a thing about how we can use the systems that we got to create an ideal government. See, right now, our governments are the weakness of the government is because the capitalist systems are based on money, and so the weaknesses of the government of our government is obviously being shown with the Trump project, because the Trump shows you what happens if you elect a non-educated gangster, into power,
Hmm.
and that's what we're going through now. And so when you think about the legal system, we've got that 4-year period, and then 4 and then 8 years. Uh, so my theory, or at least what I'm looking at now, is that there's only one professional company that we could copy for political purposes to have an ideal democracy, and that is probably the child of democracy, as it were, would be the movie industry.
Yeah.
Because the movie industry, there's no constraints on what it can tell you. Yeah, I mean, like Hitler tried to co-opt the movie industry when he was in power, and all it really did was show how evil this guy really is,
Hmm.
and it was of his own doing, because he like Trump thinks that he's totally right and everybody else is wrong,
Yeah.
and they're showing it to us. So my theory is this, that, or this is my
Yeah.
my idea of a perfect how to create a perfect government, is by using the movie industry and for everything you need to do. For instance, every right now the world is in the movie business. I'm talking about every place of valuable has a camera pointing at it somewhere. And that's what the movie business is. It involves cameras and capturing images.
Hmm.
And so when you capture an image, then you fall under the movie, the code of the movie making industry. What you can show, who owns what, who has to get paid, all those things. And therefore, you kind of control your environment with a movie if you want to, if you need to. For instance, if you're shooting a movie in downtown LA, you can section off a whole section of LA where it falls under your jurisdiction.
Yeah.
You say what stays, what goes, who lives, who dies. You have complete control of the streets. And so this is one of the solutions that I have for the homeless areas. Now, you're not going to clean them all up, but the areas that you want to clean up,
Hmm.
say Hollywood, or you want to clean up some area, you designate it as a movie site, and that everybody on the site is part of the movie and under your jurisdiction, because you own the site. And if you don't want to be in it, then boom, you're out of
Yeah.
here.
That's it.
Bye, goodbye. And if you're going to be in it, then you're going to, okay, you're going to play the homeless guy. Okay, you're not going to live here. You're going to be hired as an actor. We're going to get your story and everything else, and we're going to have accommodations for you to live like an actor, you know. And so when you're on set, this is a set, and when the set is finished, we strike the set, and now you're no longer a homeless guy. You're an actor, or if you want to be, or you're gone. If you have to go somewhere else, you know, if you have to, it's a free country. You know, you're not obligated. But if you're going to stay, you're going to get paid. And when you pay someone, then you can control, you know, what they can do, because there's a moral clause basically in everything we do, whether it is stated, you know, but in the movie contract, all that is stated. You have to be morally of good faith, you see, and if you're not, go get help. Now, a movie company can do so much. Like I can see using a movie company to deal with migration. Now, to me, if you go on a march that's 1,300 miles long, and you're carrying a baby, or you got kids, and whatever why is immaterial. The fact that you're doing it makes it's a story that we want to hear. Why are you doing this, and who are you that you have to do this? And to me, hiring those people as actors and then getting them in the country with full benefits of actors, being all the guilds, so you got health care, and you got the schooling, you got everything you need, and you got a wage, and you can contribute. Now, if you need schooling, it's provided. The movie company will provide it. Healthcare is provided. Everything you need. Accommodations also provided. And all we ask of the employees is to do your job. That's all. That's it. And so I can see using a movie company, and then movie executives, like Louis B. Mayer and all those old time guys. They were the word. They were the last word. They made the decisions. This gets made, that doesn't get made, or they make this, hire this, or do that. But they had great advisors, and when they worked mainly for the art of it, because when you think of movies, a movie really is a reflection of real life.
Yeah.
Or imagination. We can imagine things like that there. But all the script writing and all the good movies I ever read, there was always that moral arc, and the message that you want to leave,
The message, yes.
Yeah. And so I envision us using the movie industry in such a way that, say, we do a movie about how a country should be ruled. Why, say, the gun problem, for instance, the violence problem. You can solve it with a capitalistic way. It's called insurance. Insurance. Again, if you use the movie scenario, you can't have firearms on a set without an armorer, someone that knows why they're there and how they're going to be used, and so on. You see, and that's the way it should be. No, you can have freedom of weapons. You can have all the freedoms you want as long as you have insurance that will cover any damages done by whatever you're dealing with. And if you're dealing with a weapon, okay, insurance, AKA 47. Let's see, where are you living in Texas? Okay, what's the insurance would be? Oh, it's not too bad, blah, blah, blah. But you can't have insurance unless you qualify
You qualify for
unless you qualify, see? And so that's what we do. You know, if anything goes wrong, the insurance company pays, you see. If there's a mass shooting, the insurance company pays, you know, because chances are there wouldn't be a mass shooting, because if you're insured an area, there's people called insurance inspectors to make sure that there's no, you know, there's nothing blocking blah blah blah, you know. That's what I mean. So we have the system, we have the wherewithal to enact it, and I'm definitely going to be part of it, because again, it's all about the money. If you use the capitalist system in the right way, money's a tool.
It's all about the money.
We can fix everything that's wrong. The Russian and Ukrainian thing. Well, I look at the plus side.
Mm-hmm.
The good side is that the Ukraine needed to be rebuilt.
Mm-hmm.
It needed to be torn down. Yeah, people are losing lives. That's sad, but they lose lives every day. But it needs to be torn down. See, that's one thing. That's one of the reasons I thought Trump could have made a good president, because he was a demolition expert. You know, he knew how to get buildings disappeared off the face of this earth.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
And I thought, you know, if he becomes an infrastructure president, he could be president for life. You know, but unfortunately, he turned out to be John Gotti.
That's what he was. I mean, he was tweeting. He was all this. The wackiest thing. I mean, growing up in New York, I'd always do Trump Towers. You see what he did, what he built, but he would talk to the people. People are simple. That's what people want, simple. And he would talk to them, and they felt that, oh, we understand him. He's not talking over their heads.
I believed a lot of his shit. No, I still do. I still do. I can see. I understand Trump. You know, he's the kind of guy, you know, that you like, because especially now, they had to have that. Did you see the thing today about?
Oh, who's texting me right now, calling me? Dice Clay. He wants to come on this. She goes, put me on the show. But he doesn't know how to work his computer. I could call him really quick before we get out of here. We got to do a part 2. Would you come back on the show?
Yeah. I got to go. Really.
Yeah.
We'll do. Let's do one with Dice if you want.
Let's do one with him. Because he's gonna he's calling right now. The guy. Look at him. He's going. Let me just tell him really quick. I got. Hold on. He's not going to be able to hear. Andrew.
What?
Andrew.
What?
I'm doing an interview with Tommy, but he can't hear you. And by the time I send the link to you, I can't get you guys together. Can we do a show? Well, Tommy had said he'll do a show with you, with me and you. Okay.
No, but
I'm in the.
So he can't hear me.
No, he could hear you, but he can't. He could hear you, but you can't hear him. I mean.
All right. So this is what you do, right?
You hear this?
You listening?
Well, I'm listening.
Yeah. I'll try to talk to him.
Okay. He's laughing. Okay. Tommy's laughing right now. Okay, try to talk to him.
I can't. I can't talk right now.
Oh wait,
he can't talk right now. Tommy says he can't talk because he has to go.
I gotta go.
We've been on. Me and Dice, me and Tommy have been on for almost 2 hours, Andrew.
Yeah. Why is it whenever I call you, if you're talking to another celebrity of any kind, and I love Tommy, and Tommy knows I met him, you just try to blow me off?
I'm not blowing you up, and Tommy does love you. We talk nice, Tommy. Did we talk nice? We talk nice.
He just wants to blow you.
Okay, but the point is, whenever you're on with one of the big stars, you know, I get kicked to the curb like a dog.
You're not kicked. I love you. You know we're tight.
Number one, I've seen Tommy's pot. I've seen it. I've smoked it. I love it. I endorse it. Huh?
Thanks.
Hear that?
He hears that. He hears it. He loves it.
So when we were hanging out in Las Vegas, Nevada, in the back, he played the joint, him and Cheech, and we were hanging out. everything was good with us.
Yeah.
And now
That's right.
everything is falling to shit because of some shit you say.
Don't worry about it. I'll fix it all. I'll get his information for you. Call
All right,
him.
listen,
What?
I'll let you go.
All right, I love you.
I understand. I get it.
I love you.
I get it.
I'm just a
Good
guy
guy.
trying to do a podcast. I'm not Joe Rogan here. Give me a break,
Yeah.
guys.
I get it.
Wait till
get it.
your next gig. I'll come on there and tell people, don't talk to me.
Hey, wait a minute.
What?
Ask Tommy if he wants to be in my. Does he live in L.A.?
Yeah,
Or
he
Yeah.
lives in LA. Yeah.
don't say the address.
I'm not saying the
Stupid.
address. I didn't even say it.
But he lives in L.A. Okay. Ask him, and if the answer is no, it's okay. But tell him what I'm doing. Tell him I'm filming the doc.
Mhm.
And they're interviewing a lot of people. Would he want to be part of that?
Tommy, would you like to
Sure,
be
sure,
yeah, he said
sure.
100%. Sure.
Sure.
It's a yes or no.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. He said yes.
It's down for the next few weeks.
For the next few weeks, Tommy.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, okay.
I got to see something.
So
I'm not dead.
can I let the guy go? He'll never want to talk to me again. You got a name. I got
Okay.
nothing.
All right.
Come on. Why are you ruining it?
With Tommy.
Yeah.
And the rest. So you got
Thanks, guys.
I love Tommy. He knows I love him. We hung out.
Oh,
You understand?
I'll wait for the movie to come out. Let me say goodbye, Tommy, professionally now. I love you, and Tommy
okay.
loves
Goodbye.
you. All right, bye.
All right. Hang up on me. I agree.
All right, bye. All right, sorry about that, Tommy.
No problem.
I'll send you the information. I'll send you who I was talking to, and I'll give you his information and all that, and you guys
Okay.
can work that out. Hey, Tommy, I'm sorry about that.
No
gotta
problem, man. No problem.
You know, we should do one with Andrew. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it would be a lot of fun.
It'll be a lot.
Okay.
I'll let you go.
Okay,
I'm going to let you go.
Okay.
It was good talking to everybody. In the meantime, all links for Tommy down below. Tommy, you're out of here. Thank you for your time
See you
and
later.
respect. Bye, buddy.
Okay.
Okay. All righty. Got him out of here. Great guy. Okay. I am Stefan ADIKA. We've been on a long time. And in the meantime, everybody, click on Tommy Chong's CBD. All links are down below. I want to thank Tommy for being here. I want to thank you all for watching. It's that time to get out of here. Ready? Until then, who loves you, baby? We do. Bam. Oh, and also make sure you click on the box right here. If the internet's allowing me to do it, I might have to take two, but make sure you click right there for something special, everybody. It's really cool. All righty. Until then, I will see you all later. I see you looking at me. And leave your feedback down below in the comments if you like this show and you want to check out some other episodes. You're going to click on that box. Until then, who loves you, baby? We do. We're out of here, kids. Bam.